Assalamualaikum. Hi guys, this is Sarah. First, I just wanted to update you about what's been going on in my life lately, and then I wanted to talk about my trip to India that I took recently. So, right after the last time that I saw you guys, which I know it's been a little while, I was finishing up my finals, and then pretty much right after that, I had about a week of the holidays where I was visiting family members for Christmas and stuff like that. Right after that, we went to India. So I was in India for about 3 weeks or so. The entire time I was sick. The entire time. I caught something really bad, like right before I left to go to India, and I was sick all the way up until like 2 weeks after I left India. So I was sick for about a month and a half total. Yeah, it was horrible. So luckily I'm feeling a little bit better now, but once I got started back with school again, I got ill with some other things, which I'm not even going to go into because I've just been having such a hard time physically for the past couple months or so. But anyway, that's just what I've been up to lately. I know that some of my viewers probably know that I live in the United States, and with all the stuff that's been going on with the Muslim ban and stuff like that, what I think about it. Originally I was going to make a video about that, and it's something that's really hard for me to talk about. Obviously there's a lot of emotions there, and I originally actually did make a video about that, but I decided against posting it, that I'm just basically going to keep that to myself, because it's really hurtful for me to talk about. It's very scary living in a country where you know that a lot of politicians don't like you, a lot of people don't like you, because of your religion. It's very scary, the idea that there could be something in the future, even if obviously the travel ban doesn't affect me, I'm a US citizen, that in the future there could be some policies that do affect you, and that's something that's very scary. But I decided not to post that video. But anyway, I just wanted to update you guys real quick about some of the stuff that's been going on lately, and talk a little bit about my India trip. So, on to my India trip. We went to, so like I said, we went for 3 weeks. We decided to luckily this time we decided to take a flight to a smaller airport within India. Usually my husband's family doesn't decide to do that. They just go straight from Delhi and drive to the house. But that's like a 10-hour plus drive after going to Delhi. The trip was very long. I've never had to take a trip that long in my life. Basically, we hopped from LAX to Dubai to Delhi and then to Dharamshala. So my husband's family lives in Himachal Pradesh. The city that his family lives in is so small it wouldn't even be on the map, but luckily with Dharamshala we only had a couple hours to drive or so instead of a long 10-hour drive. Of course we had tons of layovers, which I'm not even sure if it was worth it, but the layovers, because there was some flight rescheduling. Luckily, though, we only had a 2-hour drive. It's very, like, windy and mountainy there. Anybody who is familiar with that area knows that it's near the Himalayas, that the Himalayan mountain range basically runs through there. It's very cold. The village that my husband's family lives in, it doesn't really snow there. As far as I know, they don't get snow. But you can definitely see snow from where he lives in the higher up mountains and stuff like that. Some of you are probably familiar with the city of Shimla. That's maybe like a 4 or 5 hour drive. You know, geographically these places aren't so far from each other, but it's because of just the road quality that it takes so long to get there. So, but it is a very beautiful place. There was definitely some culture shock moments during my trip, which I'll kind of talk about more later, but one of the things that surprised me the most was how many stray cows there are. Like, in the US, cows aren't just hanging out places. Like, they don't just wander around and hang out by themselves. Like, a cow is in a pen or in a pasture or something, and it's owned by somebody clearly. But there's tons of, like, stray cows, the same as there's stray dogs. I mean, obviously there was a ton of stray dogs there that we don't even have close to that amount of stray dogs in the US, but the stray cows was a lot more surprising to me than the stray dogs. So most of the time, like I said earlier, I was really ill, but we did have we did go to a wedding there. That was interesting. So, I mean, the thing about weddings in India, because I've been to like 3-day weddings over here, 3-day Indian weddings over in the United States, but I've never been to like a full-on like I say 3-day, but it's more like 3+ days a wedding in India that I've never been to one of those in India, obviously, because I've never been to India before this last time. And it was interesting, but it was very tiring. I mean, of course I was sick and everything, and so that explains some of it, but it's kind of like the weddings over there feel like they're all day long, and you're like, there's not a lot of action. There's very small amounts of action in between, like a lot of waiting and like sitting around and people staring at you and all those kind of things. The Mendi, I felt really bad for the bride because I'm sure that I have some Indian or Desi viewers out there that if you've ever participated in that Mendi tradition with the oil on the forehead and the knees and the feet, that looked miserable. I mean, there was oil dripping in her eyes, and I was just like, oh, that's just too much business for me. I don't think that I could do that myself for my own wedding. Yeah, but just, you know, very tiring weddings over there, but it's nice getting new dresses and stuff like that. The shopping is very different over in India than it is in the United States, and I actually don't like the way that basically they conduct shopping over in India. Drop my things. I will talk about that, and I'm gonna make a things that I like about India and things that I don't really like that much about India video, and shopping is one of the things that I don't really like in India, even though something that I really do like about India in fashion is that I feel that most of the stuff is very modest and pretty. And then also for like jewelry and different things like that. I feel like it has like a very classic feminine flair that isn't always present in the jewelry that you find over here. I feel like the jewelry that we find over here has a lot of like very geometric designs or just very simple, but I think that Indian jewelry, even though it's very elaborate, is very workable and feminine and pretty. I really like it. Or whatever you define as traditionally feminine looks. There's a lot of like flower motifs and paisleys and stuff like that, so it's very pretty. My family lives next to a fairly large river, so I love rivers, and it was really nice seeing all of the natural stuff and the animals, and I like too being able to walk to our family's house, so we walked to different places' houses, different people's houses all the time and stuff like that. Most of my trip really was taken up by the wedding. A week of that 3 weeks was just travel. It takes that long to get there. And then another one of those weeks was the wedding. And then basically the last week of time that we had was going to different people's houses because it's traditional. I don't know if this is in all of India, but at least in that area, that you visit pretty much every single different family member, like at their houses, and that takes like all day because in that area nobody goes to hang out with somebody at their house at nighttime. So if you need to see all these people in the family, then you're gonna have to do it like during the morning or in the morning and the afternoon, and you only have a very short time, so you can't like get through that many people in a day. So that took up a lot of our time. I think that we only had maybe 2 days of free time to do things in which we got our shopping and souvenir stuff for family members back home during that time. I probably will be going to India again in maybe a couple years, and I would love to get more video and stuff like that next time I go. I didn't really get very many very many videos this time when I went because I was so sick, and we didn't really go out to places other than people's houses. So there wasn't really very much for me to show you, but I am going to be posting, I plan on posting pictures from my India trip, which I'll link like how I did with my wedding pictures. So I am looking forward to telling you guys more about my trip. That was kind of the basic synopsis, and I'll tell you some of the stuff later on, the things that I like and the things that I don't like so much, and maybe some other videos about my experiences. So I am looking forward to talking to you guys about that in the near future, along with other topics coming up soon. So thank you guys for watching this video, and Assalamu alaikum.